Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Duke. I'm from District 6600, and I'm the DGE currently. And before we get started, I'd like to do some housekeeping stuff. So if everybody could just keep yourself muted unless you're called upon to speak, that would be great. So that sort of eliminates the background noise. Then also, if you could make sure you're named correctly, have your name, district number on there, that'd be great as well. And we are recording tonight. So if there's somebody that either missed it or you'd like the recording afterwards, we can provide that for you. So just some housekeeping details. I'd like to introduce our team tonight. Besides myself, we have Julie Branley from District 6630. She's also a DGE. Say hi, Julie.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight.
We have Rich Turpak, DGE from 6650. Rich.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming.
We have Doug Beakey from 6670, DGE. Doug.
Hello, everybody. Hope you have a good night tonight.
And we have Dave Ewell from District 6690, DGE as well. Say hi, Dave.
Good evening. Thank you for being here this evening.
Then we have some presenters. We have Sharon Trevick from District 6600. Tina Ingram from District 6630. Tina. We also have a representative from our zone, Zone 30, Laura Carey. Say hi, Laura.
Hello, everyone. Look forward to seeing you all at All Ohio Pets.
Great. This evening's an introduction to public image. I hope you all enjoy it. It's a great program. I've looked at the agenda. I think everybody's going to get a lot out of this. As we proceed to pets, All Ohio Pets in March, we're all going to get some more public image in the breakout sessions. So sit back and look forward to this evening. And I'm going to turn it over to Sharon.
Oh, welcome, everyone. I just want to also introduce my colleague from District 6600, John Figarelli. John, wave. John's going to be taking over Public Image Chair in July, and he's so excited to be doing that for our district. So I'm going to talk a little bit about club leadership and in the PI role, public image role. What does a public image chair do? What to look for in a public image chair if you don't have one or think that you need a different person in that role. We can talk a little bit about building your team, and hopefully some of you have some great ideas about who the best person would be in your club to be a public image chair. Maybe you've been thinking about it, or the person that you have in that role already is willing to stay in that role for another year or so. We can talk a little bit about splitting up the duties so that you're not doing all of the public image role yourself, or your public image chair actually has some help. And then a little bit more conversation about how everyone in your club can be involved in public image. Public image is an outward facing public relations role for your club, and we can talk a little bit about that. So just with a show of hands, how many people actually have a public image chair in their club, or a bulletin editor, or someone like that who is responsible for internal or external communications? Some people are waving, some people are raising their hand. Great. All right, this is a good thing. And I know in a lot of clubs, the former bulletin editor got elevated to be the public image chair, and maybe they didn't get a lot of training when they did that. But what Rotary has done, and what other districts and clubs have come up with, is a more outward facing role for the public image chair. So yes, sometimes that role still is communication to the club members, but basically that role should be evolving to be more outward facing. So you want someone who is good with public relations, who understands social media, who is comfortable calling up a editor or sending a article to your weekly newsletter or weekly newspaper and telling them about what Rotary has done. I know many clubs actually have someone from their little weekly newspaper in their club. Our club is not lucky enough to have that, because the deadline for the weekly newspaper is Wednesday, which is when we hold our meetings. And we've not been able to get our newspaper editor to attend our meetings or even be a member of our club. But if you can solicit that weekly newspaper editor or reporter to be a member of your club, that would be a great start to help getting the word out about what your club is doing. So we're going to talk a little bit about people of action further down in the agenda, but one of the things that I want to go into right now is that your club, everyone in your club should be working on public image. It's a outward facing relationship that you should have with people in your community. Let them know what you're doing in your community, in your state, in your region, in your district, in the world. Our district did a tremendous fundraising campaign for Ukraine last spring. Our club and many clubs in our district raised $150,000 for Ukraine, and we were able to get a great deal of publicity, and the right kind of publicity, because our club public image chairs, and with some help from the district, were able to get that message out to the media. And I know that a lot of clubs then were surprised by some of the membership that they gained, because people said, oh, here's Rotary doing a good thing for Ukraine. And by the way, they also did something locally in the community during the following week. And then, they did something locally for one of the school systems the following week. So it really helped us with our membership campaign, which is all about that three-legged stool that you'll hear a lot of us talk about: membership, public image, and the foundation. So I've said I was going to take about 8 minutes, and I think that's about where I am. Does anybody have any questions, or do you want to talk a little bit more about a public image chair for your board or your team or your committee? Tricia, did you have a question?
I was actually just going to ask, do we have parameters around what a press release would look like, or is there a template that Rotary can provide that basically gives you kind of the what you can say and what you can't say as you're going out to the media?
I don't know about what you can and what you cannot say, but there is a, on the Rotary Brand Center, which John's going to talk about in a little bit, there is a sample press release that you can look at out there. I haven't downloaded it recently, but there are, obviously you always want to talk about things in a positive manner. And then also at the end of your press release, include something about what is Rotary. So if you're talking about, if you want to do a fundraising press release, for example, the who, when, why, where, how, and then details on the fundraising event. And then at the end, you would always say, what is Rotary, or about Mommy Rotary Club, or about your club, that type of thing at the end of your press release.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on to Tina.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you again so much for being with us. So what I'm about to share with you guys tonight, and I am going to start sharing out my screen here, and I'm going to go into presenter mode. So this is what I'm calling a symphony of Rotary, right? So I like to say that public image is like a symphony. So there is your string section, right? There's your percussion, the woodwinds, and the brass. There's 4 parts. They can all stand on their own, but together they just make the most beautiful music that moves people. So I think that's the same with a great PI effort too, right? So let's talk about that. There's your social media presence, right? There's your traditional media outreach. So that's your press releases, your calling the papers or the TV stations, your website, and then your emails and your newsletters that you send to your club members. So that's like your inner club communication. So I wanted to briefly go over each one. So the first one we're going to talk about is your social media. So social media, of course, serves a couple of purposes, right? And we're speaking to multiple audiences. So one way is it's obviously a way to communicate with your current members, from reminding them about meetings and getting them excited for guest speakers, or even updates on service projects. when you share posts and photos from Rotary International, that page about the global Rotary efforts, then you're using social media to help your members feel connected to Rotary's bigger mission. So social media is also a great way to start painting the picture of who your club is. And when we see photos of members at events and projects, you can decide, are you a club that has a lot of fun in doing service projects? So you want to make sure that your photos show the joy of volunteering, right? Or the fun at a social event. Also, of course, you can celebrate your accomplishments so that people understand the organizations that you are benefiting, right? And I like to think of that, sometimes in Rotary, we don't like to kind of toot our own horn, but I think we should look at it from a different perspective, that when you share exactly what you're doing, then you're shining a spotlight on those nonprofit groups that maybe some people don't even know that they exist. So the power of social media, though, really comes in the share. So we share posts, we share stories. And I know a lot of people that aren't familiar with social media are kind of confused by all these different, ways that you can post. But a story, for instance, is only up for 24 hours. We can share links and videos, and we can go live so that on that social media channel, people are seeing what you're doing in the moment. And it also just generates excitement for fundraisers and events. And with social media, you can create special event pages. And this makes it easier for your members to share out to other people who are not members, people who don't really know that much about Rotary. That's one of the beauties of social media. The other thing with social media is to do your best to master the tag. Because when you're tagging members, or you're tagging a business or a nonprofit, or even a location that you're in, then hundreds of people who don't actively follow your Rotary Club's page but follow those others, they become aware of who you are and what you're doing. So I'd like to say tag, tag, tag whenever you can. And remember to tag your district social page too, because that's another way to communicate with other clubs what you're doing. Because you may even have a program that someone in another club that be interested in. A really good tagging strategy is also going to involve other social groups of people who like to volunteer, but maybe aren't Rotarians. The more visibility, the better. And you can also highlight a member who went above and beyond and tag them and tag their business. That's kind of like the and so on effect, if you remember the old commercial. So one of my suggestions with social media is that you don't leave it to just one person. It can be a very daunting task. I would suggest have a few club members with access to post from the club, so it doesn't feel like the job is too big for one person. Or if somebody's ill and can't attend an event, then you have a backup, right? So try to have these members sit down with a calendar, and you can even pre-plan your posts and do everything maybe in a month at a time, outside of those, last minute kind of posts where you're in the moment. So we can spend hours and hours on social media, but that's just kind of a real quick little run through on that one. So the next one, oops, I'm going to go this way. So the next one I want to talk about is our traditional media outreach, our public relations, right? So like we said, this is your press releases to your local TV and newspapers. And this is where you're going to definitely want to pre-promote your big events and your fundraisers if you want to get more people to those events. And like we said, RI had some really great links in the brand center, including the press release template. And I always end mine with, about Rotary, about our Rotary Club, about our Rotary District, and about Rotary International. This way people have the big picture. So as you're writing the press release, though, you definitely want to think, of course, of your 5 W's. That's your who, what, when, where, and why, right? But you also want to think about your ad copy that is engaging and that shows relevancy and newsworthiness. So newsworthiness, does it relate to current events or observances or trends? Like, of course, how are you observing World Polio Day is a big one. Timeliness, get it in while it's fresh, because no news source wants to share old news. And of course, proximity, being in your area. When you go to the brand center on their public relations or their PR page, they list a whole number of things that you definitely want to include. I like to say, write with human interest in mind. feel free to tug on the heartstrings. Don't feel like your press release has to be so stuffy that it doesn't engage the news reader, because that's what they really want, is they want a story that is going to sell. And of course, the news outlets, they love to have supporting data. They love stats. They love research. So one of the things you'll definitely want to do is a little digging to create a media list that you can begin those relationships with the writers. And we know in today's environment, they like an email, and then you can follow up with a call, and then you can follow up with a recap email. So that seems to be typically the way that media like to be reached out to first. And again, once again, action, action, action. The photos and images that you share really need to elicit that emotional reaction for any of these news outlets to really consider using them. And I thought too, if we had any questions, if we could save them for the end, that would be great. And then we can go over everything here. So our next one here is what we call our paid media. It's still traditional. I know that there are some clubs that will take out newspaper ads, or maybe they'll do a local radio ad or local TV and digital. If you have the funds, it's great. It's a great opportunity to create awareness and to drive new membership and to promote your clubs, your meetings, and even your events. And my tip would be is when you're reaching out to those paid media sources, ask them for nonprofit rates, or ask them if there's any free opportunities. A few of the clubs in our district, when they do really big events, they actually have a small media budget, and then they get the radio stations to actually co-sponsor. So they're getting additional media time just for putting the radio station's logo up, which is great. So, and remember too, that even if you are paying for a TV ad or a radio ad, these media outlets, they will produce your spot for free for you. So that's something to keep in mind, because I think a lot of people think that it could be really costly. You can certainly give them all your images and your logos, and they'll do a great job, but know that that's not something you really need to pay for. All right, my next one is, we're going to go to our club websites. Let's talk websites. So I think that we all know that Google and other search engines are really like the new yellow pages, right? Our club websites can be the first or second impression for many new members. And so I know that it's hard to find someone to manage the website because it does feel daunting. But with some of the newer templates out there, it doesn't have to be. And if it feels like it's daunting, start small and then build it where you'd like it. Sometimes just starting and having that place is better than nothing, right? So no matter which club platform that you're on. So good things to remember for your websites is to show your members, show the work, right? Use images and videos that are going to be engaging of people enjoying what they do. Keep it simple, right? Because people scan websites. You don't have to fill it up with a whole bunch of copy and overload it. I also like to say include the call to action so people know where to join you at a meeting or who to reach out to. And then, of course, do your own internet research. One of the things I love doing is just Googling Rotary Club in another state or Rotary Club in another country, just to see what other clubs are doing. And sometimes you get some really great ideas that you can share. Rotarians are so generous with sharing. So that's definitely something that you could do, is just do a Google search and you'll be amazed at what you might find. And then, of course, we have our club communications, and these are our emails and our newsletters. And, regular emails are so important for a number of reasons. Well, first of all, your members are, they're kind of like, I don't want to say they're like customers, but they're people who have asked you to send them information. So utilize that, right? And it's great for meeting reminders, volunteer updates, and special events. And as much as we love our social media, some people just aren't on it, and that's okay. So that's why our email communication is really equally as important. One of the things too, as we're talking about branding, is to remember to use your voice, your club voice, so that everything that you're sending out with your club communications, it sounds like you. It sounds like you're a professional but fun organization that loves to help people, or whatever your vision and your mission could be. And this is also a great place to, again, acknowledge members who've gone above and beyond to foster that connection. So that is the end of my email. But when you have all of those put together, it sure does feel like a good symphony, as I like to say, of Rotary's public image. So I'm going to pass it back now over to Sharon, unless anybody had questions.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question, Tina. This is Vic. What about podcasting?
Ooh, podcasting is so fantastic, and more people are getting into it. So by all means, that's a perfect thing. So it's very easy to start a podcast. I actually have a small one with a friend. And the key again is sharing it. So once you put it out there, it's great that it lives there, but you really have to let the world know that it exists. So that's where you want to blast it out on social media and tell your members, hey, please share this, take a listen and share. It's all about the share. In fact, what I would do is as you're interviewing, as you're interviewing different people, then make sure that you're tagging who they are and where they work or what their profession is or whatever it is they're doing. Because again, you want to share that out as to as big of a network as you can.
Tina, do you usually have the president that sends these weekly messages and updates? Or I guess you could do a video, or do you have your social or communications chair do that?
So I think that's going to depend on every club. And I know like for us in the Club of Cleveland, we actually have an executive director and she sends the emails out on behalf. I think, again, it's totally fine to have multiple people sending out those communications so that they get out, so that they are, I just feel like it's better to communicate and get it out than it is to wait for somebody to do it and manage it all. Because again, this it can feel like a really big job. So when you spread it out, it's just as effective.
Yeah, thanks, Tina. I just was going to ask, I have an internal communications person who occasionally does Facebook posting for us. Do you have an actual board level PI position on the board with your club?
So I'm on the board for our district as a public image person, and I have a team. I have a team because I need a team. I need again, this is an even bigger job on the district. And I've got, another 3 people that I'm so grateful for because they think of things differently. I just can't think of it all. And sometimes I'll say, hey, I'm busy. This club's doing this. Can you send this out? And in fact, one of my team members is so fabulous. And she came up with a really great idea on LinkedIn where she's highlighting the presidents and she's tagging their businesses and tagging other activities that they may be involved in, again, just to kind of spread that out. So I would say try to get as many people involved as you can, because people definitely bring up new ideas that you just may not think of or have the time for.
Sure. Thank you.
Ingrid, I do know that many clubs do have their public image chair is a board position. Yes, because when they come to the board meetings and know what's going on in the management of the club, it's good to get that information out to club members and out to the community. So yes, many clubs do have public image chair as a board position.
Perfect. Thank you, Sharon.
Question. If you utilize LinkedIn, is that under the individual's name or is that under the Rotary organization's name?
So we do it under the Rotary organization name, and then, we'll tag their personal LinkedIn account. And that's another thing too, is I feel like it's very important that for these Rotary accounts, don't start them with a personal account and email. You should start them as a club and use a club email. As people move in and out of positions, this way it's never tied to one particular person. So like, for instance, our Rotary Club of Cleveland, we should have a really active LinkedIn page. And the nice fellow who started a few years ago, he's no longer with us and we don't have access. And there's a lot of things that we want to change. So we're going to be starting from scratch. And that's okay.
That's exactly what I was wondering about. Thank you very much.
I'm throwing it back to John.
All right. So if you haven't been to the Brand Center, you can get to it through myrotary.org. Everybody should have an account up there. And in our club, about a year or so ago, we got everybody signed up, or we tried to get everybody signed up, those who are literate with computers. If you don't, it's really easy. Just go to rotary.org and you can get a get a login. Brand Center, you can get through Rotary.org, or you just type in brandcenter.rotary.org. And it gives you lots of different options, and it's really, really easy to use. So I'm going to show you today. You can click on this box and you can create a club logo, find an image or video. You can find member resources, other people of action materials, learn how to promote Rotary, and learn how to strengthen our brand. And Chris, actually in here, and hopefully I can show it to you, you can see where I downloaded my background image for my Zoom meeting today, which I wanted to keep my old one up there, which is my Bengals logo. For those of you guys in the Southwest, I'm from Cincinnati originally, and looking forward to a nice win this Sunday. But I'm going to start, and we're just going to create a club logo. I'm going to show you how easy it is if you've not done it. Anybody can do it. So I just click on create a logo. I'm going to go to Rotary Club Districts and Zones. And my computer is moving a little slow today. There's a couple templates you can go to. You can do it for Interact if you have an Interact club or Rotaract club. I'm going to click on the Rotary logo template, and I'm going to hit this button here. It says create. And the key message, and you'll see it when you're in the brand center, is consistency, keeping things all looking the same. So Rotary's really worked hard through the brand center to get all of us to, whether print materials or signs or banners, to have a consistent image, consistent color scheme. It's really simple. So you've got what's going to show here is Rotary logo, and then you get your club, district, or zone number. And over here on the left, all you're doing is I'm just going to leave it as regular, full color recommended. I'm going to keep the alignment below, and I'm just going to do my club, which is Lima and 6600. So I'm going to just type in Rotary. Rotary's already in there, so I'm going to type in Club of Lima. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to show over here on the right, and then I'm just going to click on down. You can't save it here. You have to download it, and then you can save it in your folders, files. It's going to give me the option to save as a PDF, a JPEG, or PNG, and it tells you here if you're going to use for print, use the PDF, JPEG for digital, or PNG for digital with the transparent background. I'm just going to do a JPEG image. It's going to tell me that it's going to generate it and hit OK. I'm using an Apple here, so my downloads are up here on the right. So I'll just go and click on that, and then I can find my logo, and then I can share it. I can send it. I can do whatever I want with it. And I'll save it in my my Rotary folder. I'm just going to hop back now, give you a quick view what else you can do in here. I'm not going to go through a lot. Some of you may have already used it. Some of this might be the first time. There's a lot of information here. As I'm getting ready for the public image chair role for 6600, I've been doing a crash course, and I've gone through a lot of training here, a lot of different things. But over here on templates, it's going to give you a lot of different things you can do. Logos we just talked about. Promotional materials. There are brochures, there are templates you can build brochures on. Let me find. So I told Chris I would show this to answer his question. Let me check downloads. So you put me on the spot here. I did it yesterday when I downloaded my Rotary background. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a search. I didn't like that. Didn't like my search. Anyway, Chris, this is where you can find it, and afterwards I'll find it and I'll shoot it over to you. I did want to show you really quick brochures. If you don't have a professional brochure, depending on the size of your club, you may already have some. We've had some made for our club, but there is a good template where you can go in. It's very similar to what the logo was right there. We're going to type in a few different things. You're going to choose some pictures, and you are going to get a nice professional brochure that you can hand out to potential members, or I'll just show it to you right here. And it's very simple. So you go through the same, similar to what I just did with the Rotary Club of Lima logo. You build your own here. You can do your events in the middle. It's going to have your address information, whatever else you want to put in there. And you can switch out the logo, the pictures. You can use some. What we've done before is we use some pictures of our own club, and then we've used some of the standard Rotary images as well. lot of consistent messaging, a lot of good looking materials out here. Go ahead and take a look at it. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now and pass it back to Sharon.
John, wait a minute. Can you pull up the People of Action? Go back over to the Brand Center where it has the People of Action materials. Thank you.
Okay, here we are. Okay.
Thank you. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about People of Action. I know you've been hearing a lot about that. And when Tina earlier talked about tag, use that hashtag People of Action. It's a capital O and a capital A. If you're in social media or anywhere, you're going to want to use that People of Action tag. So Rotary's message is a single idea of telling people and showing the world that we are people of action. And that involves a lot of stories, as we're talking about here, and John's pulling up the Tell Your People of Action story. The Brand Center has a lot of great images that you can use, or you can use your own image from your own club, which is even better. If you look at those pictures there, there's about 2 or 3 people in a picture. No one is looking at the camera. They're actively doing something. They are people of action. You'll see no one's holding a check and looking into the camera. Earlier, I had a conversation with a member in our district who sent me about 4 pictures of people holding checks and wanted me to put them on the district Facebook page. And first of all, I said to him, well, yes, you can post anything you want to on the Facebook page, but I'm not going to tag people of action when they're holding a check. So he said, but it was a lot of work to get a check. I'm like, I'm sure it was, but what are you doing with the check? That's the picture that we want to tag with people of action. So to look at those images, 2 or 3 people in the photo actively doing something, not looking at the camera. There's a good people of action shot. I guess it does have some bullet points there. And then you can see this images to avoid. If you scroll down a little bit, John, I don't know if there's one of someone holding a check, but there is not. Again, back to the Brand Center for images, what to do, what not to do. Tina, you want to talk a little bit about photography and CANVA?
Why, yes, I sure do. All right, so I am going to come back and okay. So now I'm going to share the screen. There we go. Okay, so I call this my walkthrough CANVA. And I don't know how many of you are using CANVA right now, but I will tell you, I'm actually a graphic designer that has used lots of heavy software out there, but CANVA is so fantastic for the regular person who's never done any kind of design work. So, so this is what the logo looks like, right? That's the CANVA logo. And CANVA is actually a website. It's also a mobile app. And with CANVA, it's a subscription service, right? So you can either log on for free and you can make different social images and things that we'll get into, or you can get a paid account, which is only about, I think, like $10 a month. But nonprofits also receive the free premium level account. So all you have to do is you make sure that you submit your 501c3 paperwork, right? So just like our social media, I'm going to recommend when you start your CANVA account, start it with a general Rotary email address. This way, 2 reasons. As people move in and out of your club, then that CANVA account stays with the club. Also, you can give that login to multiple people because just like social media, multiple people are going to want to have access to this because it helps you really make some fabulous images, right? So that's my #1 suggestion, is to start it with your club email and share it. So what can you make with CANVA? You can truly design anything. Social media posts. You can take photos from the Brand Center, and Dr. Mupples, I'll show you that, that we had done. You can take photos that you've taken from your phone and you can doctor them up. You could create flyers for your events, posters, invitations, things like that, truly anything. So, and there's even some crazy things. You can make a bingo card, as you see down here. You can do bingo cards, content maps, t-shirts. So that's all the fun stuff. You truly can. All right. So one of the best things about Canva is they have a fantastic tutorial of everything that you need to do, right? And they also have a lot of templates. And I think that's where the templates that you use make you feel like you really make some really great stuff, okay? So definitely, once you get in and get your account, do some of the tutorials so that you can, walk yourself around the interface. Here's another hint. In Canva, you have what they call over here, the brand kit, or it'll just say the word brand. As you're starting, load up every version of a logo that you think you will use. So for instance, remember when we said the JPEGs and the PNGs, those are treated differently. Anytime you have a JPEG, it's going to have a white background. So as you're layering a logo on top of an image, you need to make sure that you've got the PNG version of that logo. If it's a dark image, you're going to want to have the white Rotary logo. If it's a light image, you're going to want a dark one. So you want to make sure that you set up your brand kit in a way that you have all the logos very easily accessible. So that's number one. Number two, you're going to go to, and this is directly a screenshot from the actual page. And actually, I made this presentation inside Canva. So it's, again, really easy. So what you would do is, if you want to make a even a whiteboard or a social media post, what I love about their social media post templates is they have the exact pixel dimensions for different things, right? So if you're posting on Instagram, you really need for your image to be 1080 pixels by 1080 pixels. And they have a template for that. So they have made it so easy for people to be successful with professional looking things. All right, so if we're going to go, say we're going to make a flyer, right? So we're going to say, what are we going to design today? Well, I want to design a volunteer flyer. Oh, look, this is a version. This is a generic template that came up. And I said, well, that one looks pretty cool. So let's do this one. But it doesn't look like Rotary. It's not using the Rotary colors. It just doesn't look like us. Well, it's very easy. So as you can see, what we did was we dropped in our white PNG logo over there. I took out the that copy and I changed it and I used our font. And then I added another hand and we changed the colors. So now they're Rotary branded colors. So start with a template. Don't feel like you have to start from scratch, because people have done all the legwork ahead of time for you. So try to utilize that as best as you can. All right, so here's a couple of layout ideas, right? So that photo is actually from the Brand Center. And here's a treatment where we put Rotarians are people of action. That looks great. We can use that. But we could also add a filter to it. And wow, Rotarians are people of action sure does pop out, right? And then maybe we want to add a square to it. It is super easy to add all these elements within any of your photos to make a social media image. There's another one. Let's add a couple of boxes. That looks pretty cool. I don't know about that one. I liked the others. So once you find a version that you like, you save a copy and then you can recreate it and just recreate it. So you are using your own template over and over. I'm one of those people who I don't want to recreate the wheel every time that I'm making something new. So I'm going to save it if I like it and just change the things that I need to change. Here's a little something about photo editing, right? So this is our past district governor, Larry Lohman, and he's at our district conference. So that's a photo that I took because, we talk about photos being engaging. And the reality is there are times when we have to take a picture of a person at a podium. So what are we going to do to make it more interesting? Well, number one, I do not like things that are centered directly in the photo. It's boring. What I like to do is add some dimension to it. And so I'll go a little bit off center, either to the left or a little bit to the right. It just creates some interest. But then as we're using things within social media, we want to get it closer to the action. So I actually cropped this one a little bit. And now this one is a square so that I can use it on Instagram. And the other thing would be I zoomed in a little bit. Just by that cropping, I was able to cut out some of the boring stuff and focus a little more on Larry's face because that's more engaging. But at the same time, he's still not smack dab in the middle. So if there's anything that you leave with tonight is don't put people smack dab in the middle of your photo. And also, if you really want to learn more about photo editing, just do a Google search for good photo taking tips. And that's one of them. So one of those is it's all about the composition of your photo. I think even on the Brand Center, they show you good photos versus not, so that you can see that, you know, when you add a little bit of interest or contrast to it, it'll make it a more engaging photo. So again, Canva is totally available as a mobile app. So download the app, you shoot pictures with your phone. And the reality is the camera on our phones are just fine. You don't need a super fancy SLR to take photos that are worthwhile. So I definitely recommend downloading the Canva app because you can, on the fly, take a picture, add some text, boom, you can get it uploaded to social media within seconds. The other beautiful thing about Canva is they're not just a design platform. They want to help you with your content. And so they have content planners. So you can go ahead and you could say, I want to design a social image and we're going to design it on this day and we're going to run it on social media this day. So it's a really great other part of the Canva tool is their content planner. In fact, you can even connect your social media channels to your Canva account and then directly publish if you want. All right, here's some other content ideas. Again, some that you can, these images you can take from the Brand Center and you can doctor them up or you can just use photos from your club. I really like how that newsletter came out. It's all drag and drop. So it's all working in layers. And as soon as you take a tutorial, you'll see how easy and intuitive it is for anyone to use. So again, Canva offers a nonprofit pro version. And what you get with the pro version is you get access to really great templates, many more templates. And you also get access to a few more bells and whistles like a background remover. So if you wanted to isolate a picture of a person and then put them on a different background, there's an app within Canva that does that for you with just one click. But you need to be on the pro version for it. So again, make sure that you do that through the nonprofit version. And that is the end of my Canva walkthrough. I know with our district, our folks, we had many people say that they really want just a whole Canva tutorial. So I think we're going to look at maybe doing that on our at our district conference at the assembly, because enough people would like to sit with their own laptops and just go through it. So I think it's definitely a worthwhile thing for your club to utilize.
I've got another question here real quick. How do you communicate within your Rotary? Do you just email each other? Or what do you do with that?
Chris, our club, we use DACDB a lot, which is the district and club database program. We have PTEX, so we text our members. We also use email, and we also have a Facebook group just for our members.
Okay, thank you.
Alan, you had your hand up?
Yes, Tina, I had a question. I'm in the print industry, and we've had a lot of customers come and bring us Canva documents or forward them to us. And some of the things that we do have some issues with Canva is that a lot of the wannabe designers do not incorporate bleeds into their files and so on. And so when they think they're sending us a completed print ready file, it is not. And then we have to get with them and hopefully instruct them how they need to repackage their files, and or we have to change some things for them. So yeah, I know you didn't touch on bleeds in templates and so on like that, but I just want to put that out there. It is very important. If you don't do that, you're slowing down your process immensely when you are in the print finishing part of it.
That's a really good point, and I really wish that Canva had that option to export to PDF with a 1/4 inch bleed around. Because, unless you're somebody who's gone through this, then you don't really know, but absolutely. Otherwise, you got to give yourself a 1/4 inch border all around everything too. So that's tricky, but thanks for bringing that up.
Okay, sounds great. Tina, Sharon, John, thank you so much for being with us tonight and sharing your expertise. Tina, you have a slide that talks about some Rotary resources for these types of things that we spoke about tonight in the session. And we will be sending that out to you, and it will be included on this recording as well. We'll share it to the screen briefly, so it's just recorded in this recording. In the comments, I reminded you about the All Ohio Pets Conference, March 10th and 11th. You can register now. Registration is open, and it's allohiopets.org. So please do so. You can choose all your meals and get registered. You can register for your hotel and all of those things on that link. So be sure to take a look at that. Let us know if you have any questions about it. There is contact information on that website that will link directly towards one of us, and we will get back to you right away if you have any questions. So you saw the links for the resources, and we'll get that out to you. And I think that's all for tonight. So 6630 is staying after. We have a little bit of homework that will take about 5 minutes. And otherwise, thank you all for being here, and you are free to go. So have a great night. We ended early, and so we thank our team for that.